City Council meeting for Monday, March 3rd with a roll call.
Mayor Lawson.
Here.
Council members Abbott.
Here.
Vanderwell. Here. Anderson.
Here.
Bybee.
Here.
Dare.
Here.
City Attorney Duncan.
Here.
City Manager Cruz.
Here.
We have a quorum, thank you.
Okay, let's start off with the invocation by Pete Fossler.
Let's pray. Lord, we are so grateful to be in your presence and run a wonderful city. I thank you for our mayor and his intelligence and his wisdom and the city council members and team that they have. We are grateful for them. I am grateful that this is a great city. I'm grateful for the law enforcement that gives us safe streets and does such a great job, and a fantastic fire department. And we're so grateful that you have blessed us and given us opportunity to change, to adapt, and to do great things so that our communities can grow and be something special. And we ask this in your name, amen.
Amen. Bill, you want to start us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I was honored to do that. I have pledged allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Bill. All right. Public comment. We're going to start off with Mr. Rock Cole.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, City Council. My name is Rock Cole. I'm here to speak about the Five Ridges project. Today, I want to go over the modified universal soils loss equation that the professional hydrologist House Moran gave before the last meeting on this. I've sat down with several engineers and come up with our own numbers. It's a very intimidating equation, but it really isn't that bad once you get into it. But today I want to just go over some discrepancies, and I want to tap in on your common sense and your sense of reason a little bit, because we don't have time to go through it all. The first three categories, this one, and this one, are all hydrology. They're just the water that's coming off the hill, pre-existing conditions versus the proposed. I can't argue that, although I do question it. The K value is the soils type. It is, I've showed you the soils logs. It's very silty soil, 60%, which is very high for soil. And he's saying because they're stripping the topsoil off, stockpiling it, putting it back on the mountain, and just track packing it, that it is going to be the exact same as what is there currently, that's been there for thousands of years, and all the surface silt and sediment has been washed away. But you'll notice the exact same numbers. Curious, right? The next one is the landscape value. The landscape is the length of the slope versus the steepness of the slope. You're taking a hillside like this, you move it to that, and he's saying because it's shorter, you can use the exact same numbers again. The velocity will greatly increase water coming down a steeper slope, especially when it's coming down a slope that is just loose, new dirt that has all the silts. But the last one is really curious. It's the cover factor, the C. And again, it's the exact same numbers. Does anybody here think this looks the same as that? Because that's what he's saying, that the cover factor is the exact same. I don't think anybody in this whole auditorium would argue that. So he came back, I questioned that early, he came back with a letter stating that no, it's after this reaches 70% coverage. Well, if that's 100 or even 90, even if that does get to 70, which it won't, would it be the exact same number? Heck no. Nobody in here believes that. And even if it did, it's just going to have some grasses and some new brush That silt, all that silt that is in that soil is still sitting on that surface. It will be picked up by water, suspended in the water, and brought straight down to my property in the form of muddy water that will get all over everything. Muddy water carries sediment. And he says that the sediment loading was reduced at all discharge points. Here at the discharge point, pre-existing was 7.3 tons a year. Do you think in 27 years that adds up to 200 tons? You think I'd notice that in my yard? You've seen the videos. The water comes off that hill crystal clear. Got a whole bunch of new videos just this week. Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you.
Sorry
Thank
to
you.
go over.
No problem. William Machado? Is anyone else in the public wishing to speak after this? If so, would you please fill out a card for me?
Hi, I'm William Machado. I'm here to speak for Mark Lawson. On behalf of Mark Lawson, I believe that the city mishandled his removal from his position. I believe he was hired as the best candidate for the position, and I know he was the best candidate for the position. And subsequently, allegations have been brought forward after he was hired where it doesn't really matter. The way it was handled was he was presumed guilty, and there was no investigation into what actually he was accused of. And I just believe that if it was a policeman and he fired his pistol and shot somebody, administrative leave, they take the time, the district attorney makes a decision on whether it's justified or not, before they just remove him completely from his position. And, you know, he was slandered and his reputation's been sullied to where it's going to be a lot more difficult to find another position. And I just think it was very unfair, and I'd like for the city to reconsider the treatment, how it was handled, that's all. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Anyone in the public wishing to speak? Okay, we'll bring it back to the dais. Let's move on to agenda. Looking for an approval of the agenda. Let me see. Mr. Abbott,
I move to approve the agenda as submitted.
Mr. Dare.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Let's move on to minutes. Looking for approval of the minutes. Mr. Anderson.
Move to approve the minutes for the Sparks City Council meeting for February 27th, 2023.
Ms. Vanderwell.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Announcements, presentation, recognition. Presentation by Good Shepherd's Clothes Closet. Come on down.
City Council, thank you for having me down. My name is Dave McLaughlin. I'm the Executive Director at Good Shepherd's Clothes Closet. I am here today for awareness on our organization and what we're doing as a nonprofit in the community, where we have been and where we are now. As a nonprofit, we have been in the Reno Sparks community for over 27 years and recently moved to Sparks, the city of Sparks, 2 years ago. As a nonprofit, we are only located now here in Sparks, and we are proud to be a part of Sparks in the community. It's been a great home for us, very welcoming, and has been very beneficial for us as a nonprofit in the Green Bay Shopping Center over down the road here. As a nonprofit, we help over 700 people a month that walk through our doors. The average client that comes in 2 to 3 times a year, and which means we have a lot of foot traffic that comes through our doors. As a nonprofit, we give away clothes free to those in need. So it comes in donations from the community, and then we give it out to the community. So as you can see, it's a very green cause that we're doing, and what we're doing is really trying to make an impact in the community. We were close to closing a few months ago. We were this close. We were considering our options, we were in a really, really tough circumstance. We ended up having to make hard decisions down to cutting our internet. And as a nonprofit, because of the community support, because of people believing in what we're doing, because of several city council people here attending our open house event in October, we have been able to continue our mission day after day after day. Those that don't have anything can't get anything most of the time. It is hard for those without IDs, without certain things, to be able to get anything day after day. I think Catholic Charity does an excellent job on getting people their birth certificate and their social security card and other things one time. But that's one resource. And you can't get help and other resources without an ID, without your social security card and other pieces. So our standards are very low at Good Shepherd's Closed Closet for those that need help, and that's intentional. We do ask that people have ID, but we do make exceptions for those that don't. The list is shorter, but on average, a client can get over $200 worth of clothing at no charge. And it's not just the unhoused community that gets clothing from us. There are low-income families local here in Sparks that come through our doors. 60% of our clients are unhoused. The 40% are not. That's a large number. It used to be a lot different when we were downtown. But because of the new facility in Sparks, we were able to change those numbers a little bit. Now we're helping lower-income families more than ever. We're working on making a name for ourselves in the community more and more and more. I don't mean to call you out, Councilman Abbott, but when he first came in, he had no clue what we did. No clue at all. Which tells me that the community needs to know what we are doing. The community needs to know that we are making a difference day after day after day. We're only open 3 days a week right now, and we're looking to increase those hours. But only 3 days, and we're seeing 700 people a month. And those numbers are growing right now. We're partnered with the Volunteers of America. They have a van that comes up to our facility 2 times a week. So we still are serving those who are unhoused in the CARES campus downtown, as well as other people in the community. But it doesn't matter who it is. Anyone at all can come through our doors and get the help they need. It doesn't matter. We're working on more projects moving forwards. We're working on bigger things for Good Shepherd's Closed Closet to expand. All of that's not completely public yet. We're working on what that could mean for the future. But we need support from anyone and everyone. Right now, we're currently running a campaign, 620, and it's all community support. That's all it is. Individuals just getting behind what we're doing. No matter what, if Good Shepherd's Closed Closet closes tomorrow or stays open tomorrow, people are going to be looking for Good Shepherd's Closed Closet. People are going to be looking to get free of charge clothing and get the support they need. 700 people a month, and that number is rising. We've been working on campaigns, working on all sorts of things, but I am the only staff, and we have over 30 volunteers. That's a pretty good demographic as far as nonprofits go, serving that amount of people as well as that many volunteers believing in our cause. Our goal is to continue tomorrow, the day after, and the day after that. But we would appreciate any support that the city of Sparks can provide in a partnership, whether it's publicity, whether it's just spreading the word, whether it's just telling your neighbor on what we're doing. Because what we're doing doesn't just matter today, it matters tomorrow, and it matters next month when it's going to get hot and there's a new set of clothing that's needed for that individual, for that one child who doesn't want to be bullied in his neighborhood, by having a clean set of clothes. There's a gentleman who came into the storefront. He was a client of ours, and he needed a job. I posted a video of it on our Facebook. Feel free to check it out. He came in. He didn't have a job. He was at the CARES campus, came in, got clothing. Now he's an employee of Tesla, has been working there for the last 2 months. He was so excited. He said, "Dave, I finally got my first paycheck." It's a big one, and you won't see me here again. I'm like, "Well, you're welcome regardless." He said, "But I'll come back. I'll come back with a check." I'm like, we're just happy we're able to help you get that next step in life. And that's why Good Shepherd's Clothes Closet exists, is to help all of those people. So thank you. Thank you guys for allowing me to present.
Do me a favor and explain your 600 for 20. Explain that in more detail and how people can get involved.
Absolutely. 600 at 20, our campaign, we're asking 600 people to donate $20 a month. All you have to do is go to gsccreno/600 at 20 to learn more about the campaign and click the link and sign up. It's pretty painless, and it's 3 steps and you're in, and we're asking 600 people to donate, get on our recurring donations every month, $20 every single month. It's not a huge amount, but that's something that's gonna help us with our mission every single week. Christopher Dare and I actually came up with that a few months ago when we didn't even know whether or not Good Shepherd would stay open. But the idea is that we're asking the community's help as a nonprofit. $20 every single month.
Okay, thank you. Christopher?
Yeah, one of the things that we all look for in this world is gems of something that's doing good that you can be a part of. And I can tell you, since Dave stepped in there, we've seen a lot of changes. But one of the things that we also look for as leaders in our region are people who work and collaborate with others. And the one thing that I can tell you, there are some groups out there, it doesn't matter who they are, they're learning to do that because they've been very siloed. That's kind of a part of what happens with 501c3 sometimes. They all fight for their own money, that kind of thing. But I can tell you, one of the things I see in this community service is the willingness to just work with everybody and really open those doors. And so I want to tell you that if you choose to give time, finances, or to share the thing, there's an awesome base there. But more than that, they are working alongside many regional things in our community, which is what we want to celebrate more than anything, is that if we work together, we can really accomplish stuff. So good job.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Vanderwell?
I want to thank you for coming and doing the presentation because I have always been a huge supporter of Good Shepherds. Back when you guys first started, and I think it was an older couple, so I've always, so great to see you in the city of Sparks. I do have a question. Do you guys still provide the haircuts and the things like that you did previously?
We do not currently. We are open to all sorts of different ideas and partnerships with all sorts of different organizations, but currently we do not. But we are planning to help serve the community in all sorts of different ways with partnerships of other nonprofits.
Great. Well, there's a barber school that's right in the same strip mall that I happen to know the owners, that I'll get you guys hooked up.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Abbott?
Yeah, thanks for coming as well. If we know anyone that, that we think we could send down your way, what's the best way to get them into contact? Have them stop by, call you?
The best way is probably to visit our website, which is gsccreno.org. We've had the same domain name for a long time, so it gets a lot of traffic for a lot of years, but we should probably change that now that we're in Sparks.
We'd prefer it.
But that's the best way, is to find out on there. And we're open on Mondays from 3 to 7, Wednesdays 9 to 1, and Fridays 9 to 1. And those are small windows, but we see a lot of people in those times. A lot of people need help right now.
And those hours would also be the same hours to take donations?
The donation hours are on Tuesdays and Thursdays between 10 a.m. and 2.
You got it. And if for anyone else, he makes a really good cup of Joe, too, if you want to enjoy. He's got a fancy thing.
Ms. Bybee?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
David, I will have to say that I learned about Good Shepherd over 20 years ago when my boys were in high school at Bishop Minogue, and they were always learning, looking for service opportunities and doing, we did a clothing drive and your old location in Reno, and before you moved over to your other location on, I can't remember the name of the street anyway. But really seeing what you, working with schools, there was clothing, so providing for some of the schools that have closed closets for kids. So just amazing work for many years. Really glad you did not go away. Really excited you're here in Sparks. And if people are looking for, besides, I love this 600 for 20, which for a lot of people, is very doable. So besides cash donations and obviously clothing donations, what other ways can people support you? Is it connections to services? Is it mostly donations of clothing and cash if you can to help you grow bigger and stronger and be able to serve more people?
So the main ways people can get involved with Good Shepherd's Clothes Closet is either volunteering time. You're all welcome to volunteer time if you'd like. We always need help. We always need people that believe in the cause financially, and then also clothing donations. Those are the three key ways as an organization we're going to continue for years and years to come. As well as any nonprofits that do want to partner with us. We are always looking for partnerships. We are networking with a lot of different nonprofits right now and really building a great repertoire with the local Sparks and Reno community.
Okay. Dave, you're doing a great job. You're filling that one little niche. We're trying to work through a whole program for Built for Zero on homeless, where we cap our homeless rate at a certain number, whatever that number is. We don't know, but this is one of the steps to get people out of being homeless into a job and making things work for them. So thank you for filling that gap. We appreciate it. And we'll be in touch. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you, City Council.
All right, we're going to move on to item 7.2. I get to swear in our newly appointed Community Services Director, Michael Drinkwater. Okay, Michael. I, Michael Drinkwater, do solemnly swear that I will support.
I, Michael Drinkwater, do solemnly swear that I will support,
Protect and defend
protect, and defend
the Constitution and government of the United States,
the Constitution and government of the United
the
States,
Constitution and government of the state of Nevada,
the Constitution and government of the state of Nevada,
against all enemies, whether domestic or foreign,
against all enemies, whether domestic or foreign,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and I will bear true faith and allegiance
and loyalty to the same,
and loyalty to the same,
any ordinance, resolution, or law of any state notwithstanding.
any resolution, ordinance, or law of any state notwithstanding.
Thank you. And I will well and faithfully perform all the duties of Community Services Director
And I will well and faithfully perform all the duties of Community Services Director
for City of Sparks,
for the City of Sparks,
County of Washoe,
County of Washington,
State of Nevada,
State of Nevada,
on which I am about to enter.
on which I'm about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God. Thank you.
Really, I'm supposed to remember?
Okay. Proclamation, National Vietnam Veterans Day. Do we have anyone here to accept this proclamation? Okay, Mr. Anderson?
Actually,
Oh.
I have it.
Sorry, Christopher.
It's all good. Whereas we observe National Vietnam Veterans Day, we reflect upon the valor of a generation that served with honor and pay tribute to the more than 3 million servicemen and women who left their families to serve bravely, a world away from everything they knew and everyone they loved. And whereas, as a grateful nation, we honor more than 1,000 patriots, their names etched in black granite, who sacrificed all they had, all they would ever know. And whereas in the reflection of the wall, we see the military families and veterans who carry a pain that may never fade. May they find peace in knowing their loved ones endure in the hearts of all Americans, who are forever grateful for their service, valor, and sacrifice. And whereas in recognition of a chapter in our nation's history that must never be forgotten, let us renew our sacred commitment to those who answered our country's call in Vietnam and those who awaited their safe return. And whereas beginning on Memorial Day 2012, the federal government will partner with local governments, private organizations, and communities across America to participate in the commemoration of the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War, a 13-year program to honor and give thanks to a generation of proud Americans who saw our country through one of the most challenging missions we have ever faced. And whereas while no words will ever be fully worthy of their service, nor any honor truly befitting their sacrifice, let us remember that it is never too late to pay tribute to the men and women who answered the call of duty with courage and valor. And whereas March 29th is now designated as National Vietnam War Veterans Day by the Vietnam War Veterans Recognition Act of 2017, following a bipartisan bill which was signed into law by President Trump so that Vietnam veterans will be commemorated annually for their service. Therefore, Ed Lawson, Mayor of the City of Sparks, Nevada, does hereby proclaim March 29th, 2023 as National Vietnam Veterans Day. And I'd like to just make one quick announcement as well. On the 25th, anybody out there who would like to, at the memorial, at the marina, at 2 o'clock, there's going to be a huge celebration that day where the memorial and our local Vietnam veteran group are teaming up to make something very special. And so it's something you're not going to want to miss. Hopefully you can come. And so please give a hand to our servicemen and women.
Okay, item 7.4, proclamation Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. Is there anyone here to accept this? Okay, Mr. Anderson.
Whereas colorectal cancer is the second leading cause of cancer deaths cancer-related deaths in the United States among men and women combined. And whereas it is estimated that almost 151,030 people in the United States were diagnosed with colorectal cancer, and over 52,580 people were estimated to have died of colorectal cancer in 2022. And whereas incidence rates of colorectal cancer among younger adults have doubled since the 1990s and is estimated to be the #1 cancer killer for those ages 20 to 49 by the year 2030. And whereas although colorectal cancer is one of the most preventable cancers by removing polyps during a colonoscopy, it is now the most commonly diagnosed cancer and the most common cause of cancer deaths among men younger than 50 years old in the United States. And whereas screening colonoscopy rates have not returned to pre-COVID-19 levels, and whereas observing Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month during the month of March would provide a special opportunity to increase awareness and offer education on the importance of early detection and screening of colorectal cancer. Now therefore, Ed Lawson, Mayor of the City of Sparks, Nevada, do hereby proclaim March 2023 as Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month.
Not often you get to clap for that, but 7.5, Professional Land Surveyors Week. Do we have anyone here to accept this proclamation? Okay, Ms. Bybee.
Whereas the historical profession of surveying has provided answers to questions of land boundary determination since the earliest days of civilization, and whereas surveyors were instrumental in creating property boundaries of the United States, providing its citizens the enjoyment and privilege of property ownership, and whereas professional land surveyors are uniquely qualified to locate on the ground what is expressed in words and legal documents defining property boundaries, and whereas land surveyors work with other dedicated professionals to provide the best possible solutions to modern-day problems that serve the interests of the public. Therefore, on behalf of Mayor Ed Lawson, Mayor of the City of Sparks, we hereby proclaim March 19th through the 25th as Professional Land Surveyors Week.
Thank you. Give them a clap. All right, 7.6, boards and commission vacancy announcement. Mr. Manager.
Good afternoon, Mayor Lawson, members of the City Council. For the record, Neil Cruz, your city manager. Here to announce 2 vacancies on the City of Sparks Building Code Board of Appeals, each for a 2-year term. The first vacancy is for a registrar architect, and the second is for a building superintendent. Each must have at least 10 years of experience, 5 of those years needing to be in responsible charge of the work. Applications for either of these positions will be accepted until this Friday, March 17th at 5 p.m. Persons interested in serving on this committee or any committee for the city should complete a community service application, most easily found online at the city's website, www.cityofsparks.us/getinvolved. That's all one big word. Once you're there, simply complete the volunteer application form and hit submit. Thank you, Mayor Lawson.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to consent items. Anyone wishing to pull a consent item? If not, I'm looking for a motion. Mr. Anderson.
Move to approve consent items 8.1 and 8.2 as submitted.
Mr. Dare.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. All right, general business. Consideration, discussion, and possible direction to apply for a FEMA staffing for adequate fire and emergency response grant to hire 15 firefighters for 3 years. Chief.
Good afternoon, Mayor Lawson, members of the City Council. For the record, Jim Kindness, your Division Chief of Operations and the current Acting Fire Chief. Here seeking City Council direction to apply for the current year's staffing for adequate fire and emergency response, also known as a SAFER grant, for 15 firefighters. If awarded, the grant would pay the salaries and benefits for the 15 firefighters for 3 years, which adds up to about $2.3 million, greater than $2.3 million per year. There's no matching funds required for the grant, but the department would be responsible for purchasing the personal protective equipment, radios, and other needed equipment, which is about $15,000 per firefighter, cost of about $225,000 total. If awarded, we could seek other funding for this equipment with an AFG grant to try to cover some of those costs. If we get the SAFER grant, it would increase our minimum daily staffing on each battalion from 22 to 26 employees, which includes staffing and ambulance. When station number 6 opens, the minimum daily staffing would increase to 29 employees to fully staff an engine at that fire station. The fire department's current plan, if we receive this grant for these positions, is to staff an ambulance, which would be 6 of these personnel, 3 to finish our complement for fire station 6. So we already have 6 positions in our complement, 3 additional to open up the fire station. 3 to make our truck 11, our platform, which is the 100-foot aerial that we have downtown Fire Station 1 with a 4-person company. And 3 to make our ladder 51, which is a 78-foot quint located at Fire Station 5 with 4-person complement. And with that, I'm available to answer any questions.
All right, questions from the council? Mr. Dare.
Yeah, I just want to say this kind of stuff is fantastic, and I would encourage us. I mean, we're so excited that we have our grant writer in place, but I know we worked on these in the past, and so if there's anything we can do to help support these, what a fantastic thing. And I appreciate the goals that you laid out so people can see what we're doing. Thank you.
Yeah, we've reached out to the city's grant writer to give us assistance, and we reached out to the International Association of Firefighters to look over the wording that we've placed so that we have a better chance of receiving this one.
Good work.
Good. Mr. Anderson.
I just wanted to say thank you for working on this project, as well as working with the city manager. As I did the last ride-along visiting the different stations, the one thing that I heard on several occasions was if we can't have system-wide 4-man crews, at least on the aerial equipment, if we could please consider it. And I appreciate that you guys heard that and you've added that into a part of this. So hopefully we can get there. Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, well, with that, I'm looking for a motion. Mr. Anderson.
Move to direct the city manager to apply for the FEMA staffing for adequate fire and emergency response grant to hire 15 firefighters for 3 years.
Okay, Mr. Abbott.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. These cruise right through that vote. 9.2, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of purchase of 1 mobile training unit for vertical ventilation from Fire Vent LLC for an amount not to exceed $71,500. Chief.
One moment.
We're having,
Sorry about that. Again, Mayor Lawson, members of the City Council, for the record, Jim Kines, Division Chief of Operations and your current Acting Fire Chief. On this one, I'm seeking approval to purchase one mobile training unit for vertical ventilation from Fire Vent LLC for $71,500. It's currently pictured up on the screen. This expenditure was budgeted for and is in the current fiscal year 23 CIP budget. Vertical ventilation is a tactic we use battling structure fires and is one of the most dangerous operations we conduct on the fire ground. It involves cutting a hole in the top of a structure, which allows the superheated gases and smoke to escape the inside of the structure, making the environment inside the structure more tenable for occupants and firefighters. Sometimes our personnel enter a building where you can't even see your hand in front of your face. By cutting a hole in the top of the roof and punching through, it allows those superheated gases to exit, which is safer for us and safer for the occupants. This mobile training prop will allow us to train on vertical ventilation as much as needed to become proficient at the skill. The unit can also be towed to each station to conduct the training, which would allow apparatus to stay in district while training. So looking at the picture, you'll see the one where you see a platform. It's on the bottom left corner. That would allow us on our truck company, which is the one I talked about at Fire Station 1 with the platform, to cut a hole in the structure utilizing the platform, which is much safer for our personnel. We can't always do that, so the more efficient we are in getting up on the roof and getting that hole cut, the safer it is for everybody. This trailer also allows us to mimic some of the roofs in our city. So every roof is different. There's a different pitch. Some are steep, some are not so steep, some are flat. This trailer allows us to put the pitch at whatever we want to train our folks. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
okay, questions from the council? Mr. Anderson, I'll get to you in a second.
Okay. Just one question.
Yes.
I think this is awesome, and it's a great way to train folks up without having to actually put them out on a fire. One thing that I'm kind of concerned about is I noticed each one of those photos, no one's wearing fall protection. I mean, you would think in training that you might want to do that. Is that something that we're going to have on ours, is actually fall protection while they're practicing?
If you look at the top right photo, there is some fall protection there. It's got wire or chain across the bottom of it to help prevent from fall. Actually, on the bottom right one as well, you can see that.
Okay.
So there is some protection, more than we have when we were out there battling structure fires, for sure.
No, I understand that you can't do that on a fire, but
Yes.
at least when you're practicing, the last thing you want is someone to get hurt.
That's for sure.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Dare.
I personally like to see Paul up on one of those to show you how to do that.
We can invite you all out to
I'm
demonstrate.
interested. Well, actually, that's what I wanted to bring up. One of the things that's for our community who kind of sees these things. In the past, what we've done is we take old homes that may have, and I remember we used to do this right across the street, and we practice this way. But the problem is you only have so many homes that are going to be torn down, and unless you want to volunteer your house, we don't get a chance to really practice as well as we could. So this is fantastic, and it's pretty amazing when you see one of these this process actually go through. And so I think it's awesome, and you guys train on all this kind of stuff the best you can. But I think this is a great tool. And now you don't have to put a hole in our roof, guys, so isn't that good? We can leave our,
I will tell you, we will still continue to seek out those opportunities. If you remember that church that got torn down on Prater, we were up on that roof and all of our personnel trained multiple times on cutting it because it is something we need to train on regularly.
Okay, anyone else? All right, with that, I'm looking for a motion. Mr. Dare?
I move to approve the purchase of one mobile training unit for vertical ventilation from Fire Vent LLC for an amount not to exceed $71,500.
Ms. Vanderwell?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Chief. 9.3, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of a construction contract AC 5920 in the amount of $364,000 with West Coast Paving, Inc. for the 2023 Alley Rehabilitation Program, Alley G Project, bid number 22/23-024 PWP pound WA-2023-156. Now repeat that back to me, John.
Can you just give me a minute?
Just, yeah.
Okay.
Just say,
Thank you, Mayor, City Council members, John Erickson, City Engineer for the record. This project was identified not only with our city pavement management system, as well as our sewer capital improvement program. It was included in the 5-year CIP in FY '23. Where the project is located is just to the south of Prater Way and north of D Street, in between 15th and 14th Street. It's called the G Street or the G Project because this is the 7th alley project that Ms. Sosa has put together here in the last 7 years. We received 4 qualified bids, 3 of which were under the engineer's estimate, and so staff is recommending that the council approve the construction contract. Be happy to answer any questions.
questions from the council? All right. Seeing none, looking for a motion. Mr. Abbott,
I move to approve a construction contract in the amount of $364,000 with West Coast Paving, Inc. for the 2023 Alley Rehabilitation Program, Alley G Project, bid number 22-23-024, PWP WA 2023-156.
Ms. Vanderwell.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Thanks, John. 9.4, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of a construction contract AC 5921 in the amount of $410,039.18 with the Garden Shop Nursery Landscaping Division, Inc. for the Recreation Gym Park Playground Tile Project, bid number 23-023 PWP WA-2023-147. Mr. Case.
Good afternoon, Mayor, members of the council. Brian Kaysen, Capital Projects Manager. The project before you is located at 98 Richards Way, which is just adjacent to the Parks Administration Building and north of the gymnasium. The playground structures are outlined in red. Playground structures at this park were replaced in 2014 with engineered wood fiber providing fall protection around the equipment. An opportunity for an ARPA Intertribal Council subgrant was presented to staff for projects that benefit childcare. This park is used by the neighboring community and is regularly programmed for both childcare and for as a public event venue. Ultimately, this project stood out as a perfect fit for the grant funding and would replace the existing engineered wood fiber with playground tiles that reduce maintenance and improve playground accessibility for the children that use this facility. Along with the playground tile replacement, improvements will be made to the underground drainage. Some upgrades will be made to the concrete surrounding the playground equipment, and new perimeter fencing will be installed around the playground. 3 bids were received, with the lowest responsive bid being Garden Shop Nursery Landscape Division in the amount of $410,039.18. And with that being the end of my presentation, I would be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions from the council? All right, seeing none, I'm looking for a motion. Ms. Vanderwell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve a construction contract AC-5921 in the amount of $410,039.18 with Garden Shop Nursery Landscaping Division Incorporated for the Recreation Gym Park Playground Tile Project, bid number 23/23-023 PWP hashtag WA-2023-147.
Ms. Bybee,
I'll second that motion.
got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Okay. 9.5, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of opioid litigation settlement participation forms pursuant to the One Nevada Agreement on allocation of opioid recoveries. It's the One Nevada Agreement. Previously agreed upon for participation in a $32,231,037.17 settlement agreement with Walmart, with the city of Sparks' anticipated share being $76,960.07. Brandon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of City Council, Brandon Sendall with the City Attorney's Office. The item before you is a recommended settlement with Walmart with the city's opioid related litigation. Just as a little background for the public, it's hard to believe it was last decade. It was December of 2019 when this council retained Eglet Adams to pursue opioid related litigation. About a year ago, this council approved the One Nevada Agreement that essentially was an agreement among all the Nevada entities that entered into similar litigation for the distribution or the allocation of any statewide settlements. Outside counsel is recommending that both the city and all the other Nevada entities approve this settlement agreement with Walmart, with the city's anticipated share being just under $77,000. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions from the council, Ms. Bybee.
So Brendan, this is just a settlement with Walmart. To my recollection, the whole One Nevada and the opioid settlement nationwide also has other CVS pharmacies across the country. How many of these have we settled, and approximately, do you know how many we still have outstanding? This is just one piece of many.
Yeah,
correct?
It's one of many. We have settled with, there was the manufacturers, the distributors, and the pharmacies. We've settled with the middle part, the distributors. As far as manufacturers and pharmacies, there haven't been many settlements. There was the Johnson & Johnson / Janssen settlement, but almost all remain outstanding. I don't know the exact number. It's over a dozen of other manufacturers and pharmacies.
Okay, Mr. Dare.
Yeah, so just looking at the amounts, is that $32 million that Nevada got? Or is that for the whole country?
No, that's the Nevada portion of a nationwide settlement. So that's state of Nevada, all the counties, all the cities that are participating.
Gotcha. It just seems very small. And so looking at that's just interesting. I mean, obviously it is what it is. So in the future, is this some kind of equation based upon every $32 million, we can expect 76,000, or does it change with future?
I think we can expect a similar ratio. That was part of the ratio that was agreed to under the One Nevada Agreement.
Very interesting. Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? All right, with that, I'm looking for a motion. Mr. Abbott.
I move to approve the proposed Walmart settlement agreement and authorize the city manager to execute the necessary settlement participation form.
Mr. Anderson.
I'll second the motion.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Thanks, Brandon. 9.6, consideration, discussion, and possible approval or rejection of an offer to settle threatened litigation in the amount of $170,000 related to claims asserted by Mark Lawson. Brandon.
Sorry, stuck with me for one more.
That's all right.
Brandon Sendall with the City Attorney's Office for the record. Just last month, this council considered a settlement demand letter from Mr. Lawson in the amount of just over $440,000, which the City Council rejected on February 13th. 2 days later, on February 15th, our office received a second letter offering to settle
the threatened litigation for an amount of $170,000. And again, given that this amount exceeds our city manager's settlement approval, it's being presented here for your consideration.
Okay. Questions from the council? Ms. Vanderwell?
Thank you, Brandon. I just have a really quick question, and I don't know if I direct it to you or the city attorney. I would just like to find out is if the city attorney's office or HR was consulted prior to the YouTube video being released?
Les, do you want to?
So, Councilwoman, I think for purposes for here, since we haven't yet decided what we're going to do on this item in terms of settling or not, and because there isn't a release agreement or any other settlement agreement that has been signed yet, and also our role as the city attorney, it probably wouldn't be appropriate for us to comment on something that's still outstanding this time.
Okay, anyone else? All right, I'm looking, Ms. Bybee?
Well, of course, my phone's going to ring right now. I think in looking at the threatened litigation that the city is facing right now, as you just stated, although that mic's not really good, so I'm not sure how well, that people really heard. The amount that was being asked originally was $441,000, which we rejected. Today, we're looking at $170,000 from the plaintiff to the city. And I always, as fiscal conservative, it's really hard for me to spend taxpayer dollars on any litigation settlement through the 8 years I've been here. It's always a tough decision, but I also recognize my responsibility, for the fiscal well-being of the city, and not looking towards greater risk, greater exposure for the city. Should we deny this and it went to trial, potential of what our costs could be concerns me. And really, at the end of the day, I feel because of the mismanagement of the HR of this issue that we do face exposure to the city. And I would be in support to move forward to settle this for the $170,000 today. I'm not going to make a motion right now. I know I have colleagues that probably want to speak, but basically looking at supporting that and moving forward because I don't want to see further risk down the road. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Mr. Dare?
Yeah, we have, one of the things that, and I appreciate our community because we get to hear from you. So if you're out there wondering what's going to happen, we knew this was on there. One of our responsibilities is to continue to look at what's best for our city. And anytime you do business, you're at risk all the time of being sued for this, sued for that. Some details of this are still, as was mentioned, are still being worked through and talked about and things. And so I won't go into depth there. But I would say that it's, I'm more in favor to find a number of maybe 100,000 or something to say this is what we're looking. And so I think this is a bit to ask, knowing the whole story and as the story continues to flow out there. But with that said, I appreciate hearing from our constituents. I want constituents to know that. But part of what we do whenever we're dealing with legal is we always look at also the risk of moving forward and going too far. You could lose a lot more in the midst of whatever. And so we just kind of go back and forth trying to figure out the best risk evaluation and looking at this. I would encourage us to settle, but probably settle for a lesser amount.
Anyone else? Okay, looking for a motion then. Ms. Bybee?
I move to accept the February 15, 2023 settlement offer received from Hutchison and Stephan Attorneys on behalf of Mark Lawson in the amount of $170,000 related to asserted claims against the city of Sparks, contingent on the negotiation, drafting, and final approval of the necessary settlement agreement and release document.
We've got a motion. Ms. Vanderwell.
I'll second the motion to move it along.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Okay, we have 2 yes, 3 nay. Do you want to try another motion?
I can try one.
Mr. Dare?
I would move, and I'll use some of the same language here, to consider a settlement of $100,000 related to the asserted claims against the city of Sparks, contingent on, or actually, let me say it this way. Where is it? Is it here? It's on the bottom. Oh, I'm not seeing it.
very bottom.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. I appreciate that. I move to a counteroffer to Hutchison and Stephan and authorize the city manager to settle this matter in an amount not to exceed $100,000.
We've got a motion. Looking for a second. And Madam Clerk, I'm not sure how we're doing this one. You're gonna erase and start over?
This did not.
It did not pass. No, very good.
Yeah. Well, no, I know I didn't, but it says it passed,
Yeah, so
which was not right.
we gotta get it worked out with the computer gods.
I made that motion.
Mr. Abbott,
Second.
got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote.
You don't have our voting yet.
Okay. On this vote, we have 4 in favor, 1 against. Ms. Vanderwell is a lone dissenting vote. So you have your marching orders, Brandon?
Yes, we do.
Away we go. Thank you. These are never fun to do, but part of the job sometimes. All right, 9.7, Madam Clerk, we got a first reading.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the first reading of Bill Number 2808, an ordinance approving a development agreement with the Chalet LLC regarding real property located at 3550 and 3650 Whittakin Road in Sparks, Nevada. APNs 026-34113, 026-34151, and 026-34155. Agreeing pursuant to NRS 278.360 to provide the Chalets LLC an additional 4 years to present a final map to City Council. A public hearing will be held and Bill 2808 will be acted upon at the regular meeting of the Sparks City Council on Monday, March 27th, 2023 at 2 p.m. in the Sparks City Council Legislative Building.
Okay. First reading, so I can move on?
Yeah.
I'm somewhere on my motorcycle trip. My apologies. We have no planning, public hearing and action items unrelated to planning and zoning. We have planning and zoning public hearings. Number 11.1. I'll go ahead and read that. Consideration, discussion, and possible action on an appeal of the administrator's approval of an administrative review of an application to construct and operate a 950 square foot drive-through coffee kiosk on a 17,434 square foot portion of a larger parcel approximately 5.6 acres in size, located at 750 Green Bay Drive, Sparks, Nevada, APN 028-361-05.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. Jonathan Cummins from the city's Planning Division. This item, as you said, Mr. Mayor, is an appeal of an approved administrative review of an application to construct and operate a 950 square foot coffee kiosk business at 750 Green Bray. So the site outlined in the exhibit on your screen, outlined in blue, is the property inside of which the location of the proposed coffee kiosk would be located, which is outlined in red. So that building outlined in red is a currently vacant Subway sandwich shop. And so to give you a bit of context about where we are, where this project took place, the northeastern part of the shopping center is the Sparks Christian Fellowship. South of that is the Shelley's Ace Hardware along Green Bray. The northwestern part of the site is the Reno Sparks Indian Colony Smoke Shop. And at the corner is the Big O Tires at the intersection of Pyramid and Green Bray. So the city received the request originally in December 2021 from the Dutch Bros Coffee Company. And after about a year of analysis and coordination with engineering teams at NDOT, the applicant's engineers, as well as the city's engineering staff, we were able to arrive at an approval of that project, subject to conditions of approval as of November 2022. Within the allowed time frame, a neighboring business owner appealed that decision to the city council. That appeal was formally presented to the council approximately 2 months ago at the January 9th meeting. At that meeting, having been informed by the appellant and the applicant that the two parties were working together on revisions to the site plan in order to satisfy both parties, the city council granted a 2-month continuance in order for those parties to continue those discussions. Staff has been made aware that in coordination with the appellant, an amended site plan as well as associated traffic impacts have been prepared by the applicant. Should the city council decide today to take staff's recommendation, it is anticipated that we would receive those amended materials very soon. So by remanding this item back to staff, reviewing departments and outside agencies will be able to coordinate with both parties as they conclude discussions regarding the site plan, site access, and associated traffic impacts. Staff can then determine if those modifications can be approved. Remanding this item back to staff would then provide adequate time for the city to carefully evaluate those changes and revise conditions of approval accordingly. If after reviewing the revised plans, staff issues a new approval for the Dutch Bros project and the appellant believes it does not satisfy their mutually agreed on concerns, he would retain the right to object and appeal that decision to the city council once again. So for the record, remanding the item to staff today would nullify the previous approval associated with AR 21-0031. The first alternative that staff presented to you today would be our recommendation, which is to remand it back to staff so that we can engage in those ongoing discussions and review the modified site plan. Subsequent alternatives would require that the full appeal be presented to the city council today and that an analysis be performed by the city council and a decision made by the council here today as well in a public hearing. So with that said, it is staff's recommendation that the city council remand this item back to staff for us to engage in that further review of the item. The applicant is here today, representative of Dutch Bros, as is the appellant, and staff is glad to take your questions as well.
Mr. Dare.
Looking at these, and my concern is the timing. This has been on our sphere of conversation for quite some time, and we want to be able to support the business in our community and the new ones coming in. So what kind of timing, if we do what staff recommended, are we waiting now another? Are you still going to be here 6 months from now talking about this? Because if that's the case, then I would say I'd rather us just talk about this now and get this thing going. Because, I mean, on our end, I'd like to believe we are expedient in what we do. I mean, this has not been us taking our time, I know that. At the same time, if we keep moving it around to you and then to them, we're slowing it down, and I don't want to do that.
Sure, Mr. Mayor, if I may. To your question, Councilman Dare, it's my impression that the applicant's team has new materials that they are prepared to present to us relatively soon. I can't speak to when exactly they're going to hand those to us. The applicant and the representative of Dutch Bros is here today. Maybe they could answer that question for you should you want to ask them that. However, if they were to present to us new materials which satisfy the concerns that we have at the city level, and they have been approved by NDOT, which is a requirement here as well, we're on a state highway, then we would be able to move toward an approval relatively quickly. I would say that within a matter of a few weeks, we could probably have be pretty close to a new decision.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, then I'm looking for a motion.
So we need to open it up for Public hearing.
Or we could open it up to public. This is a public hearing. Anyone in the public wishing to speak at this time? Seeing none, we'll bring it back, and now I'm looking for a motion. Ms. Vanderwell.
I move to remand the administrative review AR 21-0031 of an application to construct and operate a 950 square foot drive-through coffee kiosk on a 17,434 square foot portion of a larger parcel approximately 5.6 acres in size located at 750 Green Bay Drive, Sparks, Nevada, APN 028-361-05 in the C2 General Commercial Zoning District to staff for review, analysis, and possible approval of a revised site plan and traffic analysis at such time those materials are submitted by the applicant.
Mr. Abbott.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Jonathan. Madam Clerk, you want to read our public hearing 11.2?
I'd be happy to, Mr. Mayor. This is public hearing, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of a conditional use permit to allow storage and processing of hazardous materials limited to chemicals associated with a research and development use on a site approximately 20.7 acres in size located at 605 Boxington Way, Suite 101, Sparks, Nevada, a portion of APN 037-27401 in the PD Plan Development Sparks Business Park Zoning District, PCN 22-0018/CU 22-0004.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I know that was long. Mayor Lawson, members of the City Council, I'm Danny Ray with the Planning Division for the record, here to present this item to you today. There we go. So for a refresher as to the location, this outlined in blue is the Sparks Business Park, and outlined in red is the tenant space for Bureau Veritas. It is south of East Prater Way, east of Sparks Boulevard, north of Boxington Way, and west of Lillard Drive. So the request is for the storage and processing of hazardous materials and chemicals associated with a research and development laboratory use for precious metals and food processing. The City Council is hearing this request not on appeal, but because the Nevada Revised Statutes does require that the Planning Commission act as a recommending body to the City Council for a conditional use permit for hazardous materials. As you may recall, this item was continued by the City Council at its request from its January 9th meeting to today's meeting. And at that time, Council did request that staff reach out to the Alpine Academy, which share space in the same building. That meeting was held on January 27th, and I believe Councilmember Anderson, you attended that meeting with staff. And the council also requested the applicant provide additional documentation comparing past, current, and proposed quantities of the hazardous materials and chemicals, as well as floor plans that indicated the proposed mitigations for structural and containment. These have been provided to you in your packets as Exhibit 6 for the chemical inventory, and the preliminary floor plan as Exhibit 7. The Planning Commission and staff believe that the applicant has provided sufficient mitigations for structural and containment. And some examples of those mitigations that are proposed to be provided are required by the building and fire codes. And some examples are construction of a 3-hour fire-rated wall at the north end of the tenant space that effectively creates a separate building. Wholly separate ventilation, plumbing, electrical, fire sprinkler, and suppression systems are contained within the Bureau Veritas space if the CUP is approved and construction commences. Internal containment areas constructed are 2-hour fire-rated walls that will have additional locking cabinets located within those areas. And they have provided emergency preparation plans. Both fire department and building division are satisfied with these mitigations. And it staff's and the Planning Commission's opinion that these mitigations and other code requirements create a more controlled internal environment than what currently exists on the site. So this concludes my presentation, and although the findings are in your staff report, I do have to read them into the record at this point. I'll try to make them as concise as I can. The use is consistent with industrial businesses, and approval of this conditional use permit supports economic vitality in the area and continued business growth, consistent with goals MG1, MG2, and goal EV4, as well as the comprehensive plan making finding C1. The proposed mitigations and conditions of approval will enable the handling and storage of hazardous materials in compliance with all laws and standards governing the use and storage of these materials. The Planning Commission and staff, therefore, believe the increase in quantities is compatible with adjacent uses, making findings C2 and C4. This is an existing use and an existing building. The potential impairment of natural resources and total population which available natural resources will support without reasonable impairment was previously considered at the time the site was designated as industrial in the city's comprehensive plan, making finding C3. And finally, finding C5, public notice was given as prescribed by law for conditional use permits for hazardous materials, and the Planning Commission and City Council meetings do function as the public hearings for this item. As of 12:30 p.m. today, the city has received 6 public comments on this item since the noticing for the Planning Commission meeting on December 12th, all in opposition. Since the last City Council meeting on January 9th, the city has received no additional public comment. There were 2 requests for information, which staff did provide for them. So the Planning Commission does recommend approval to the City Council. And this concludes my presentation. And I am available along with Mr. Parsons from the Fire Department and Mr. Viviano from the Building Division to answer your more technical questions you may have regarding code compliance and the proposed mitigations. And the applicant is present here today as well.
Okay, questions from the council? Mr. Dare.
Yeah, so how often is this inspected, this conversation? So thank you. I'd like to talk a little bit about the inspection process, how often they're inspected, a little bit about the emergency protocol. And I will disclose a little of my background. I've ran private schools for 25 years, creating emergency protocol. I've been concerned about this conversation from the day one. Our staff has heard that. There's nothing new. I think that we've done a lot of work together, but I also have some concerns that we have, as much as I respect all businesses, there's a business that overused their license beyond what they should have, and so they're going backtracking, but now we're going to trust them with more next to a school. And so these are all very concerning to me, so if I could help me.
So to address the inspections first, Bureau Veritas was a F occupancy under its current status, and that's where it's at. And they have been brought to compliance as of January 10th when we did our last inspection there. They were in compliance. As an F occupancy, they are inspected by Sparks Fire Department inspectors every 2 years. That's the matrix that is laid out for F occupancies in the city of Sparks. If they're to progress to be an H occupancy, they would end up having inspections every year. Excuse me. As far as your next question was
Emergency protocol between something happens, they bring in, I've read quite a bit and we've seen a lot of the things, but how about someone pulls in, there's a leaking of this stuff, school's in session, what happens?
They have provided a written emergency plan on what they would do, whether there was a chemical spill on the interior or on the exterior. And as far as right now, it's very generic. It's a boilerplate because they still have to go through that review process of what chemicals they will be having on site and how they're going to be allowed to do that. So right now they have provided that information, but it's very generic and it's not really specific. And that's something that will be looked into further once they progress. That's fairly common for this type of situation, where we don't make people provide all of their plans prior to them being allowed to go down the road of progressing towards that that H occupancy.
So for me, and the one thing I do understand, they've done tons of work to bring this up, and it technically or even practically will be safer. I've heard that from staff, heard them from everybody. But I can tell you, for me, I'm not going to be able to move forward today because of what you just said. And I say this, that it's not the wall that's the problem. The wall, all that stuff I think is in place, and if we went and looked at it today, it'd be there. But I am very concerned that these protocols are in place, and in the very end, God forbid something were to happen. It's gonna come back to this moment when we said yes to it. And did you have these things in place? And I'm concerned that we have some some questions that I need answered, and I'm happy to be a part of it, or at least understand it. So at least at where I'm at right now, that's where my concern is. So.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, may
Yes.
I respond? That wall is not in place. All of these mitigations that I presented in the staff report and here are if they are approved today. Those mitigations would be. Yeah, but they're not in place now.
Mr. Anderson.
So a couple of things I want to clarify. You stated, Danny, that basically if we approve this conditional use permit, that it would actually make it a safer facility because of the wall and ventilation. Can you go into a little bit more detail on those?
Sure. Right now, the building, to my understanding, shares ventilation and sprinkler systems and so forth, and the 2-hour and 3-hour walls are not in place. And they're not required for the occupancy that it is right now under the business license that it's had since 2006. It's been operating since before the school was in place. Okay, I will let Aaron speak to that.
I'm Aaron Viviano. I'm your plan reviewer for the City of Sparks. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you today. Is there a chance that you could rephrase the question or say the question again, just so I make sure I answer it specifically?
So Danny in her presentation talked about the fact that in essence, if we approve the CUP, it'll be a safer facility as a result. A part of that being the wall, the firewall, as well as the separation of ventilation. And I just want to make sure I understood in detail what that means.
Certainly. When we have a business, whatever it happens to be, we have to follow certain prescriptive requirements in the building code. If they decide to step outside the boundaries of what they wanted to do in that limit, then we have triggers or specifications in the code that says we must do this. A quick example is, let's say you're in a restaurant and we only have 15 people. The door doesn't have to swing out. We get 50 people in there, the door has to swing out. So the building code is designed to protect people and property. I mean, that's our main goal, is to make things safe as we possibly can within the confines of what the code says we have to do. So we have a situation here where the business, the F1 occupancy, is in fact using some of these chemicals and materials there that they're allowed to use. Now they would like to use more. Once we step into that category, it goes into the H occupancy. We start separating ventilation. We start separating the building. We start putting in, fire will ask for things like containment and things like that that are going to exceed what was there when it was the F1 occupancy. So now we're going to the H, we're going to have to put more in place in order to protect the people and the property. This is going to give people time to exit the building if there's an emergency. It's also going to give more time to the first responders to go into the building and address the situation as it occurs. So, simply going from like a 1-hour separation to a 3, that alone is giving the first responders more time to go in.
Okay, I understand. And then I just want to make sure, going back to what you said about the products, and I understand even in our last meeting, there was some confusion because I was asking specifically what products and quantities they're going to be using. And what you said just a little bit ago is we don't really know. And if you could kind of clarify that to make sure I understand that as well.
So they gave us the list, and that list is allowing us to gauge where they're going to be. We'll know the maximum that they'll have because of the limited space and the ability of storing it properly. But the actual amount, we won't know because they'll be using it, drawing it down, and then restocking it. So
if I hear correctly, what we're looking at is the maximum allowable amount and making sure that, again, the recommendation from staff is that we approve this. Based on those maximum allowables, staff is saying, yes, we're comfortable. And then whether or not they carry some smaller amounts or no product at all of a certain thing, they're not out of compliance? Is that?
if they carry less or not that chemical at all, they're not out of compliance.
So they just cannot go above those requirements?
Have the ability to store that, yes.
Okay, got it. And then the last one, I'm not sure who this would fall under, the alarms. So should something go wrong in this side of the facility, the lab, what alarms are there for the rest of the building?
So in their written contingency plan, part of if there is an emergency, a spill, whatever it may be, is for the first person out the door to pull the pull station to activate the alarm and to allow the building to know that there has been an issue and to help everyone egress or escape the building as safely as they can.
Okay. And just lastly, I just want to make a comment. I want to thank all of staff, actually all of you and several more. We're involved with the meeting with the Alpine Academy and the president of their board as well as their executive director. And then on top of it, I want to thank the applicant, Bureau Veritas, for their meeting last week, taking me and the Academy folks for a tour of their facility to understand the processes. And I just want to say thanks to all of you because it's helped me have a better understanding. As Councilman Dare said, to be honest, from the very beginning when we were having our update meetings and this came before us, I was voicing concern as well. But with everything that has been done, everything that's been said through all of the meetings, I'm feeling confident. The nice thing is I actually received an email from the president of the board from Alpine Academy this morning saying that he did have a chance to meet with them again and that he and the director as well as the board feel comfortable in allowing the project to move forward, that the concern for student and staff safety is paramount for both the city and as well as the applicant. So with that being said, I just want to thank all of you for the work you did.
Anyone else have any comments? Okay, then I'm looking for a motion.
Mayor Lawson, you need to hold a public
Or
hearing here,
I
sir?
can hold it right in my hand too and didn't remind myself. This is a public hearing. Anyone in the public wishing to speak at this time? Who's it?
We're gonna run a microphone out.
Oh, Bill, hold on. And we can't answer questions. You can ask, but we can't answer.
How are you going to get this material to this site?
This is public comment, not public dissertation.
Oh, public comment?
Can we answer that question for you afterwards?
Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions you want to ask?
No, that's it. I mean,
Thanks, Bill.
I just want to know how they're going to get this stuff there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll have someone talk to you afterwards. All right, anyone else in the public wishing to speak at this time? All right, we'll close the hearing, bring it back to the dais. And I am looking for a motion, Mr. Anderson.
Yes, I move to approve the conditional use permit to allow storage and processing of hazardous materials limited to chemicals associated with research and development use on a site approximately 20.7 acres in the size, located at 605 Boxington Way, Suite 101, Sparks, Nevada, a portion of APN 037-27401 in the PD or Planned Development Sparks Business Park Zoning District, PCN 220018.
Ms. Spivey,
I'll second that motion.
got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries 4-1 with Dare as the lone dissenting vote. Okay, Madam Clerk, let's move on to 11.3.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is public hearing, discussion, and possible adoption of resolution number 3418 to certify a comprehensive plan amendment to change the land use designation from tourist commercial TC to industrial I for a site 3.72 acres in size located at 295 Lillard Drive, Sparks, Nevada, APN 037-25216.
Okay, Deanna.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. For the record, Sienna Reed, your planning manager. With your permission, Mr. Mayor, this presentation will actually cover two requests for the site located at 295 Lillard Drive, both the comprehensive plan amendment and rezoning. Okay, perfect. And just to orient everyone to the agenda, the comprehensive plan amendment request is agenda item 11.3, whereas the rezoning is agenda item 11.4.
Sienna, will you pull the microphone a little closer?
Will do.
Thank you.
On this slide, you can see the amendment site is bound in red. It includes one parcel that totals 3.72 acres in size. The site is located on the west side of Lillard Drive, approximately 1,000 feet south of its intersection with East Lincoln Way. Currently, the site is developed with a 70,000 square foot warehouse building that was constructed in 1981. The city's business license records show that Fort Dearborn has been manufacturing labels for consumer products in this building since 2007. Looking at the surrounding uses, directly east of the site and then also north of Lillard Drive are warehousing and distribution uses. Directly north and west of the site is a major recreation facility. You'll likely be familiar with the Wild Island Adventure Park. And the property to the south is developed with a warehouse building that's currently being operated as a gym. As proposed, the comprehensive plan amendment request would change the land use designation on the subject site from tourist commercial, which is shown here in red, to industrial, which is shown here in the light purple. Properties to the east and north of East Lincoln Way are designated industrial pursuant to the city's comprehensive plan land use map. And notably, the site was previously designated industrial prior to the adoption of the 2009 Transit-Oriented Development Plan, when the designation was changed at that time to mixed-use commercial. Later, when the Transit-Oriented Development Plan was reduced in area in 2012, the land use changed from mixed-use commercial to its current designation of tourist commercial. The associated rezoning request would change the zoning from TC, or tourist commercial, which is also shown in red, to industrial, which is also shown in light purple on this slide. The current TC zoning district allows for a range of gaming, lodging, entertainment, commercial, and multifamily residential uses designed to support tourist-oriented activities. And then the requested zone change would restore access to uses and development standards that apply in our industrial zoning district. And as you can appreciate, those are more conducive to the ongoing use of the site for industrial purposes. All right, so with this slide, we'll wrap up the overview of the requests and shift gears to the findings that council needs to consider this afternoon. As they are relatively similar, the comprehensive plan amendment and rezoning findings are thematically grouped. We'll start off here with findings that relate to conformance and consistency. That's conformance with the Truckee Meadows Regional Plan and consistency with our comprehensive plan. To be consistent with the regional plan, finding CP1 requires the proposed Land use change conform with the land use and intensity designation in the regional plan. You'll remember that our regional plan has tiers, and the subject site has a Tier 1 land designation, which applies to properties that are predominantly developed and already served by services and facilities. As proposed, the amendment supports the continued use of the site for industrial purposes and is therefore consistent with the intent and standards of Tier 1. Findings CP2 and Z1 require the request be consistent with our comprehensive plan. Both requests support a range of industrial, commercial, and institutional uses in support of Goal MG1 that encourages a non-residential land use base. Both requests also advance policy MG3 relating to the supply of land for employment-generating uses. You'll remember that the 2019 long-term fiscal health analysis documented a lack of industrial land and an excess supply of retail land based on projected demand. And as proposed, the request would increase the supply of industrial land and reduce the oversupply of retail land. As the subject site is located in a previously developed area where city services are already being provided at acceptable service levels, the requests also support policy CF1. Moving on to compatibility, findings CP3 and Z2 require the request be compatible with surrounding uses. Both the Planning Commission and staff found the request to be compatible with those surrounding land uses. Properties that are located to the east are designated and zoned industrial, and they're developed with a variety of warehousing and distribution uses. The property to the south is designated and zoned TC, but is developed with that warehouse building in which the gym's operating. And then the property to the north and west that's designated in Zone TC and operating as the Wild Island Adventure Park. What we have surrounding the Wild Island Adventure Park is a pattern of industrial designated land. And so changing the comprehensive plan land use designation and zoning for the subject site would mirror that existing land use pattern. And on this slide, we have findings CP4 and Z3. They each require public notice be given as required by state law and code. For both requests, the Planning Commission and City Council function as public hearings. And for the comprehensive plan land use amendment specifically, the statutorily required neighborhood meeting was conducted by the applicant's representative on November 14th of last year. No members of the public attended that meeting. In addition, public notice of this meeting was published in the Reno Gazette-Journal and also mailed to individual property owners within 750 feet of the site. So with that, the Planning Commission approved the comprehensive plan amendment and has forwarded a recommendation of approval to Council for the rezoning request. You have suggested motions for both requests on this slide and also in your packets. And Mr. Mayor, as a quick reminder, both of these items do require a separate public hearing. And with that, I will wrap up this presentation.
The jig is up. I'm caught. I'm no good at this public hearing thing.
Happy to answer any questions that you have on this
Dan,
item.
I just got a quick question. You said you're presenting two of them. Is this 11.3 and 11.4 or 11.5?
It would be 11.3 and 11.4.
Okay. All right. So this is a public hearing. Anyone in the public wishing to speak on 11.3? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the dais and looking for a motion. Mr. Anderson.
Yeah, actually, before we make a motion, I just wanted to make sure, so with the change in zoning, I was concerned with the businesses surrounding them. I know I spoke with some and they haven't voiced any concerns or opposition. And last I heard, staff had not either. And is that still the case, that we have not had any opposition to this?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councilmember Anderson, that is correct. There has been no public comments submitted to me via writing or phone calls. In addition, there was no follow-up after the neighborhood meeting that was held last year. So we've received no public comment since that time.
Okay. All right, well, thank you very much. And with that, if I may read a motion. I move, based on findings CP1 through CP4 as set forth in the staff report, to adopt resolution number 3418 to certify a comprehensive plan amendment to change the land use designation from tourist commercial, TC, to industrial, I, on the site, 3.72 acres in size, located at 295 Lillard Way, Sparks, Nevada, APN 037-25216.
Ms. Vanderwell.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, moving on, 11.4, second reading. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is second reading, public hearing, discussion, and possible adoption of Bill number 2806, an ordinance to rezone real property approximately 3.72 acres in size, located at 295 Lillard Drive, Sparks, Nevada, from TC Tourist Commercial to I Industrial, APN 037-25216.
Okay, Sienna, you have anything to add for this one?
Mr. Mayor, I do not have anything to add beyond the previous presentation.
Questions from the council? This is a public hearing. I'm going to open it up to the public for comment. Anyone in the public wishing to speak at this time? I made it this time, Martini. Bring it back to the dais. All right, Mr. Anderson.
Yes, sir. I move to approve based on findings Z1 through Z3 as set forth in the staff report to adopt Bill number 2806 to rezone real property approximately 3.72 acres in size located at 295 Lillard Drive, Sparks, Nevada, from TC Tourist Commercial to I Industrial, APN 037-25216.
Mr. Dare.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All right, Madam Clerk, 11.5, public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is public hearing, discussion, and possible adoption of resolution number 3419 to certify a comprehensive plan amendment to change the land use designation from tourist commercial TC to industrial I for a site 1.91 acres in size located at 1845 Glendale Avenue, Sparks, Nevada, APN 034-03144.
Okay, Sienna.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. For the record, Sienna Reed, your planning manager. The next two items are very similar to the two that were just previously considered. And again, with your permission, Mr. Mayor, this presentation is going to cover two agenda items, both a comprehensive plan amendment as well as a rezoning request for a site located at 1845 Glendale Avenue. So to orient to the agenda items, the comprehensive plan amendment request is 11.5 and the rezoning is 11.6. On this slide, you can see 1845 Glendale bound in red. It consists of one parcel that totals 1.91 acres in size. As you can see, it's located on the south side of Glendale Avenue, approximately 250 feet east of its intersection with South 21st Street. The site is developed with a 6,000 square foot warehouse that was constructed in 1967, and that warehouse currently sits vacant. Various industrial uses, including equipment rental and sales, production, auto and truck repair, outdoor processing, warehousing and distribution, are located adjacent to this site on its north, west, and south sides. Parking improvements associated with the Baldini's Casino are located to the east of the site, and you can see that here with the numerous parking spaces. The proposed comprehensive plan amendment request would change the land use designation on the subject property from tourist commercial, which is shown in red, to industrial, which is shown in the light purple. Properties to the north, west, and south are already designated industrial pursuant to the comprehensive plan land use map and developed with that wide range of industrial uses just discussed. The property to the east is designated tourist commercial and developed with site improvements that again support Baldini's. Notably, the subject site was designated industrial until 2014, when this land use designation was changed to its current designation of tourist commercial. The associated rezoning request would change the zoning from TC or tourist commercial, which is here also shown in red, to industrial, which is here also shown in light purple. This zone change would restore access to the uses and development standards associated with our industrial zoning district, and those are more conducive to ongoing use of the site for industrial purposes. As with the previous presentation, staff has thematically grouped the findings that the council will need to consider today for the comprehensive plan amendment and rezoning request. So we have, starting here with our findings for conformance and consistency. Again, these require conformance with the Truckee Meadows Regional Plan and consistency with the Sparks Comprehensive Plan. Starting off with finding CP1 that requires the comprehensive plan land use change conform with the regional plan. This site is also designated Tier 1 and conforms to that designation because it's already developed and served by existing services and facilities. On this slide, we have findings CP2 and Z1 that require consistency with our comprehensive plan. Here, both requests support a range of non-residential uses that supports goal MG1. Both requests also advance policy MG3 relating to the supply of employment land because they increase the supply of industrial land. And the site is located in a previously developed area where services are being provided at acceptable levels in support of policy CF1. Moving on to findings CP3 and Z2 that require compatibility with surrounding land uses, changing the comprehensive plan land use designation and rezoning the subject site as proposed is compatible with surrounding land use designations, zoning districts, and uses. Properties to the north, south, and west are designated and zoned industrial. They're also developed with a range of industrial uses. The property to the east, as previously discussed, is designated and zoned TC. It's developed with parking lot improvements that support Baldini's Casino. Industrial designated lands are present to the north, east, and south of Baldini's already, and the request before you today would mirror that existing land use pattern. Finally, findings CP4 and Z3 require public notice be given. For the comprehensive plan land use amendment, the statutorily required neighborhood meeting was conducted by the applicant's representative on November 21st of 2022. No members of the public attended that meeting. And in addition, public notice of this meeting was published in the Reno Gazette-Journal, and mailed notice was provided to a minimum of 30 individual property owners within 750 feet of the property. So with that, the Planning Commission approved the comprehensive plan amendment and has forwarded to you a recommendation of approval for the rezoning request. You have suggested motions for both the requests on this slide and then also in your packets. And we do also need to have 2 separate public hearings, one for each item, just like the previous set of items. And with that, I'll conclude my presentation. Be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Question from the council. Okay. This is a public hearing. Anyone in the public wishing to speak at this time? Seeing none, bring it back to the dais. I'm looking for a motion. Mr. Abbott.
I move based on findings CP1 through CP4 as set forth in the staff report to adopt resolution number 3419 to certify a comprehensive plan amendment to change the land use designation from tourist commercial TC to industrial on a site 1.91 acres in size located at 1845 Glendale Avenue, Sparks, Nevada, APN 034-031-44.
Mr. Dare.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Madam Clerk, 11.6, second reading.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is second reading, public hearing, discussion, and possible adoption of Bill Number 2807, an ordinance to rezone real property approximately 1.91 acres in size located at 1845 Glendale Avenue, Sparks, Nevada, from TC Tourist Commercial to I Industrial, APN 034-03144.
Dana, do you have anything to add?
Mr. Mayor, I do not.
Questions from the council? Okay, this is a public hearing. Anyone in the public wishing to speak at this time? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the dais. I'm looking for a motion. Mr. Abbott.
I move based on findings Z1 through Z3 as set forth in the staff report to adopt bill number 2807 to rezone real property approximately 1.91 acres in size located at 1845 Glendale Avenue, Sparks, Nevada, from TC Tourist Commercial to Industrial, APN 034-031-44.
Mr. Anderson.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, moving on from public comment. Madam Clerk, do you have anybody wishing to speak?
We did,
I didn't fill out a card. I will.
Okay, come on up, sir. Just state your name for the record for us.
Good afternoon. My name is Paul Augustini, and thank you for the opportunity. We are looking at a situation where the city will potentially be laying out some money to make a settlement. In situations like this, I hope there is a mechanism in place that allows for a review of what happened. Why are we going to be paying out this money? What could have been and should have been, and what actions should have taken place that maybe could have mitigated that down or maybe eliminated it? Like I said, I hope there's something in place that we can learn from this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And would you please fill out a card for us? Okay, announcements from the mayor, city council, and city manager. Mr. Manager, you got anything?
No, sir.
Council? Mr. Dare? Pardon me?
Bill had his hand.
Who?
Bill.
Bill who? Hold on. We need to get you a microphone. Then you need to state your name for us. And then you can't ask me any questions.
My name is William Wagner, and I would like to speak with Mr. Duncan, please, when the meeting's over.
Okay. All right.
Thank you very much.
All right, we can arrange that. Ms. Vanderwell.
Yes, I'd like to request an agenda item for our May 8th agenda for a review and discussion and possible termination of the city manager's agreement.
Okay. Anyone else?
Have some share.
Pardon me?
Have some share. This week, we got to go and be a part of families. The Remza family went, and all of us were there. But for those in the community, about a week and a half ago, we did have a Flight for Life helicopter go down. And I say that two patients were in there, and then 3 other people working there. And it was just very heart-touching to be at this last service we were at, but just our hearts go out to the family. And just my heart goes out to all of our first responders who are running towards danger as we all get to run the other way and try to find safety. So hats off to y'all, even in this room.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, with that, we're going to go to adjournment. Thank you. We have